Hi.
Hello again.
We're in the Pure Worship book. We're on page 198 under the subheading, How Will Jehovah Express His Rage? But just before we look at
the
text, there is a picture of the page before. Looks like a movie set here. But I want you to look at specifically that angel there.
He bears an uncanny resemblance to George Lucas. Remember him?
Yeah.
The master of the Star Wars, what is it now, 9 movies?
Mm-hmm.
And it does bring to mind a difference between the propaganda of the Watchtower in our pioneer days, back in the 70s and 80s, and now this kind of lurid
like
double-page colors, machine guns, angels standing over you, and all that stuff. Even God in some of the pictures, which is a new development for us.
It looks like a modern action picture.
Yes. So maybe it's not a coincidence that he looks so much like George Lucas.
Yeah. So on that page, they have the little blurb that said, during Armageddon, Jehovah's people will not fight. So that's why you have the people in the center standing there. They're all Jehovah's Witnesses. Angels will protect them as the attackers turn on one another. And they reference Ezekiel 38:21, which if you read it, it's not about you guys. So.
And as we also isolated in the text, and we'll get to that now, we also isolated in the text a thought that wasn't there in our pioneer days 50 years ago.
Yeah, so they tell you to now look at the paragraphs that we're going to read.
All right, so I'm going to be reading from the screen.
Mm-hmm. And I'll read from the book. So paragraph 22 we're at. Think of how keen Jesus will be to lead the charge against God's enemies and to protect those who love and serve his Father. Think, too, of the emotions that the anointed will then feel. At some point, before Armageddon begins, the last of them remaining on earth will be raised to heavenly life, so that all of the 144,000 can accompany Jesus into battle. Many of the anointed will no doubt have developed close personal relationships, or friendships with members of the other sheep as they work together during the last days. Now the anointed will have both the authority and power to defend those who supported them so loyally during their trials.
That was the new thought, that they're going to be warriors. The anointed are going to go to heaven so they can protect you when Armageddon comes.
Yeah.
That wasn't there because in those days, that is the 1970s, the thought was that we're now down to fewer than 10,000 of the remnant, and we shouldn't wait till they're all dead for Armageddon. Armageddon's going to come first, and some of them are going to live through Armageddon to rule as princes in the new earth, right?
So
that's gone.
Yeah, I do remember watching the numbers in the yearbooks, the stats on the partakers, and seeing the numbers going down. So we were quite shocked when we found out that the numbers have gone up now.
But this idea that the anointed, who are telling us to be pacifists and telling us not to go to war, are going to be warring on your behalf and killing people who basically are treating you badly. They're going to be killing people, and billions more too.
You should read paragraph 23.
Let's read it. It gets explicit here. Angels will also be a part of Jesus' heavenly army. They already helped him remove Satan and the demons from heaven, and they connect that to Revelation 12. You read Revelation 12, and you're going to find 1,260 days in there somewhere. So we'll talk about that in a minute. And they have been involved in gathering those on earth who want to worship Jehovah. Revelation 14. How appropriate it is that Jehovah will allow the angels to protect these loyal ones. Militantly, apparently. Most important, all in Jehovah's army will feel honored to sanctify and vindicate his name or reputation by helping to destroy his enemies.
Yeah, I was shocked when I read that. Because I thought that is something new. I don't remember, maybe they always believed it, but I certainly don't remember them ever highlighting the idea that the 144,000 were going to participate in the war
Well, the part I didn't know back in the 70s is that originally Barber and Russell taught that one of the reasons the anointed had to be in heaven by 1914 was that they would participate in Armageddon, which was going to come right away as soon as they got to heaven, right? So going along with that idea was that the anointed would rule the earth, probably on the earth, kind of on the earth during the millennium, and they would participate in the judgment of the nations, the people that were coming back from the dead, and the judging of those people.
Yeah, but
so they would have an active judgment role.
Maybe judgment. I might have thought about that, but this helping to destroy his enemies, that would have kind of not sat well with me, because we were so big as witnesses on no war. War is cruel, or you have no right to kill anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that seems to go against that.
Does it surprise us, though, with the degree to which the new governing body members are militant in every other way, and the strict measures they take against anybody who dare criticize them? Do we understand? Well,
we judge everyone
Mr.
outside of the organization.
Remember the ex-governing body member who was removed just a few years ago, Tony Morris, and his remark about the match.
Yeah.
And then realize that's how they think. That's how a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses thought, even among our pioneer friends.
There seems to be more relish for
relishing
for the slaughter of people.
Yeah, we got a couple more paragraphs here, right?
Yes, okay. 24. With such a powerful, highly motivated army protecting them, those of the great crowd of other sheep will have no reason to cringe in fear. In fact, they will stand up straight and lift up their heads, because their deliverance is getting near. Luke 21:28.
Another verse taken out of context.
How important that before Jehovah's day comes, we help as many as possible to come to know and love our merciful, protective Father, which seems to not ring really well beside those paragraphs.
The billions that are going to be destroyed for not listening to your message.
Yeah.
Then and this then is the person you call the merciful God.
They bold read Zephaniah 2 and 3.
We'll do that in a second. Let me read the last paragraph first. The aftermath of human wars is chaos and misery. By contrast, the outcome of Armageddon will be order and happiness. What about the mess on the other side? The Gog of Magog mess that's in chapter 39. What will it be like when Jehovah's rage is spent, his warriors' swords are sheathed, and the last echoes of the great battle fade? In the next chapter, we will consider that wonderful future. And if you look over the pictures in the next chapter, you notice it's all the paradise pictures.
Yeah.
There's no mess on the other side.
That's right. So it does seem to make it almost sound instantaneous that everything's beautiful and paradise-like.
Well, connecting some of the dots, you've referenced Revelation about 3 or 4 times in these 2 paragraphs in the middle.
Yeah.
And they've missed the whole point. I mean, they've published over the century or more now 6 books on Revelation.
Yeah.
All of which are now out of print, including the last one we studied. What was it? 4 times the witnesses studied it. Yeah. All those books are now out of print and unavailable. They've missed the biggest point of the book of Revelation, which is it's a call to non-resistance to the martyrs who were about to be martyred at the mercy of Caesar. They are going to be martyred, and it's preparing the church of all ages, not just that church, to be martyred.
Yeah.
Where are the martyrs in your picture of Armageddon?
Yeah,
you have everybody being protected.
Yeah, you are. That's always what it's about. It's about you making it through Armageddon and living through it.
Whereas in the past, we can say that there was some consistency in that the 1260 days mentioned prominently in these very chapters you're citing, specifically 11 and 12. The 1260 days was always connected to the Great Tribulation. You've disconnected that from the Great Tribulation. The 1260 days is now 1914 to 18, which you then connected to the Great Tribulation and coming Armageddon in 1918. But nowadays, it's not connected to the tribulation at all. So even in the 1970s, when we were pioneers, you remember there was the idea that the anointed would pass through Armageddon. So don't let the 10,000 remnant thing get in your way. It's going to happen any day now.
Some will make it through, yeah.
So, no, you don't have to see the number go down to 0 before Armageddon comes.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be gone now. They'll all be gone.
Yeah.
Just like back in 1913, just before Armageddon was to come, all the anointed have to be in heaven before 1914.
To participate.
And then it was moved to 1918. So that's where you needed the 1260 days to get you that prophetic picture of the 3.5 year period.
And I think looking at the numbers when we were witnesses, yeah, we didn't expect it to go down to 0, but we thought it was an indicator that we were in the generation.
Yeah.
Watching those numbers made you think it has to be in this generation because those numbers are so low. And the years are getting too close to not being able to live beyond this.
So, in a way, we were always in an elitist trap because the idea of 1260 days and the idea of the anointed being in heaven were all, they have to be gone and they have to go to their reward, which now includes destroying the wicked, protecting you at Armageddon. They have to be there for that to happen. So, all of this is tied to a times and seasons gospel, though. All the way along, including 1975, the idea was any time now. Mm-hmm. And that, of course, is the great lie, that 6 generations of Jehovah's Witnesses now have perished or are perishing, believing that lie, that you will survive into God's new world. It was the title of a book that I read back in the 1970s. It was already old then. It was the 1955 book, You May Survive Armageddon into God's New World. And that 70 years ago.
That has to be disheartening for the people who thought they were going to make it through Armageddon looking young, relatively young. And now they're old, and now they're kind of told, well, no, you might just have to die.
Enjoy your old age, though.
Yeah.
In some of the latest Watchtower studies, apparently.
So we wanted to read Zephaniah. But we want to read more than what they point to.
They're pointing to two verses, the usual 2, which are verses 2 and 3 of chapter 2. Where's verse 1? Well, what does verse 1 say in the New World Translation? Then we'll look around it. But what's the verse immediately before?
Gather together, yes, gather yourselves, O nation that feels no shame.
Is that you, Jehovah's Witnesses? Well, it's true you feel no shame, but this nation that Zephaniah is addressing deserve to feel shame. They worship, well, ESV says shameless nation. In other words, you don't realize what predicament you're in morally before your God.
The reason they feel no shame is they think they have no reason to feel shame.
We don't apologize. Okay, so that's the immediate context. That explains why verse 1 is missing.
Yeah.
But let's read further back into chapter 1 and go right through from 1:14 to 2:5 in their translation.
Okay. The great day of Jehovah is near. It is near and it is approaching very quickly. The sound of the day of Jehovah is bitter. There a warrior cries out. That day is a day of fury, a day of distress and anguish, a day of storm and desolation, a day of darkness and gloom, a day of clouds and thick gloom, a day of the horn and of the battle cry against the fortified cities and against the high towers. And they actually tell you what that is, I think, in here. Oh, well, no, actually. Sorry. I'll keep reading.
Keep it going.
I will cause distress to mankind, and they will walk like blind men, because it is against Jehovah they have sinned. Their blood will be poured out like dust, and their flesh like the dung. Neither their silver nor their gold will be able to save them in the day of Jehovah's fury. For by the fire of his zeal the whole earth will be consumed.
Whole earth. Well, this certainly sounds like the Watchtower's Armageddon scenario, right? Mm-hmm. But why are they being so selective in picking 2 verses out of this? Because now the chapter really continues. There are no chapter divisions here. So the thought continues. This day of the Lord's narrative continues into chapter 2. So let's just read straight through to verse 5 and see why they would be picking 2 verses out of all of this.
So still in 18, because he will make an extermination, indeed a terrible one, of all the inhabitants of the earth. Gather together, yes, gather yourselves, O nation that feels no shame.
O shameless nation, yes.
Before the decree takes effect, before the day passes like chaff, before the burning anger of Jehovah comes upon you, before the day of Jehovah's anger comes upon you. Seek Jehovah, all you meek ones of the earth, who observe his righteous decrees. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. Probably you will be concealed on the day of Jehovah's anger. I do remember that verse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was cited very, very often.
Mm-hmm. So that was one of the two that they tell you to read. Then 4, they don't have you reading. For Gaza will be an abandoned city, and Ashkelon will be desolated. Ashdod will be driven away in broad daylight, and Ekron will be uprooted. Woe to those who inhabit the seacoast, the nation of Kirithites. The word of Jehovah is against you, O Canaan, land of the Philistines. I will destroy you, so that there will be no inhabitant left.
You can go further, and we certainly want to motivate everyone to read the whole chapter and then read all of chapter 3, and you'll soon see who this is talking to and about.
Yeah.
You, when he says you, he's not talking to people that you're preaching to today. Mm-hmm. Seek Jehovah while he may be found, etc. He's not talking to you today. He's talking to Israel then. Mm-hmm. Israel was a shameless nation then. They were the ones who would have to seek the Lord. They knew about the Lord, but they weren't seeking him.
Yeah.
They would have to seek him before this day of the Lord comes. And who else is going to be judged at the day of the Lord? Do you know all these names? I think we know the name Gaza by now, where that is. Mm-hmm. But the other names, Ashkelon, Ashdod, Ekron, Terethites, Philistines. Mm-hmm. Well, we're being told here about basically the desolation of the land of Philistia, which is now Palestine. Mm-hmm. Gaza explicitly said to be deserted in God's judgment. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty clear if you read just these few verses we just read, what this is all about and who it's addressed to. Zephaniah is sent to Israel. He's a prophet of Israel just before the exile. Mm-hmm. Now, and land, by the way, because you have earth here, I think, and what was that verse? That was in verse
3.
Verse 3. In yours it says, all you
meek ones of the earth.
Of the earth. Well, the word in Hebrew, eretz, which can be translated earth and is translated earth in the previous verses in chapter 1, is now translated land here because of the context. The context being Israel and Philistia, obviously. Mm-hmm. So what can we say except this is more abuse of the scriptures by a society which is itself shameless in the way it uses the Bible. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So read the whole chapter. Read the whole book of Zephaniah. It's a mere 3 chapters, and you'll soon know what Armageddon is about. There's all kinds of books in the Bible that distill the Armageddon scenario down to, well, in this case, 3 chapters. So there's no excuse for the Watchtower to do what they do with Armageddon and making it about you and then telling you you're going to survive this. There's no message like that here in Zephaniah, is there?
Yeah.
You have to seek Jehovah, and maybe he will protect you. Well, I have perhaps. That's another thing that the Watchtower uses these verses for.
Probably.
Mine
has.
Yeah, and in ours it's perhaps. Well, this is not talking about eternal salvation, your eternal destiny, though.
Yeah, it's
this is talking about being spared a judgment, which was the Babylonian exile.
Yeah.
And now, of course, Armageddon scenario piled onto that. Mm-hmm. So, context will determine what God is saying at any point. And you're afraid of context. Obviously, you're still doing the same old proof texting. It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
And so many of the people we're in touch with directly can't get past the fact that witnesses just don't listen. And they won't read their Bibles apart from these helps.
Yeah.
And this book is of no help at all.
No.
What's our link?
We're linking to Paradise Lost for Jehovah's Witnesses, one where we were dealing with Zephaniah. Watchtower's tricky tongue and God's pure language.
Yeah.
And the playlist for the Paradise Lost.
Yes, in that video,
series.
I think we linked the tricky tongue idea that God will give them a pure language and get them past their tricky tongue to the Watchtower's way it treats its own history.
Yeah.
The way it treats the Bible, yes, but the way it treats its own history. See you next time.
Yeah.